Thank you, everyone. Usually I have had my presentations downstairs and never been upstairs, and I know it's because I'm with giraffes. I'm really honest with myself. You know, I just have to do this. So, again, thank you for coming out today. It's a great crowd and a great day, and thank you for supporting WCN and all the conservation. It's wonderful. Well, because we have the giraffe with me, I thought we'd just talk a little bit what is the oldest giraffe. So this is Samotherium major. It's lived in Greece and around 7 million years ago. It was described in the late 1880s, and at that time the Okapi was unknown and still alive in the Congo. This animal was extinct for 7 million years. We knew about that before we knew about an animal that was already still living, and it was at least 6 or 7 million years old, much older than giraffes and really a lot smarter too. The reason the Okapi was not discovered till 1901 is it lived in, its only range is in the center of the Democratic Republic of Congo. At that time, it was the Belgian Congo, and this area was full of cannibalistic tribes. It was very dangerous. A lot of the explorers avoided this area because of the notorious reputation of people living in the area. The Congo is a phenomenal place. It's Conservation National. It lists as one of the 17 most biodiverse countries in the entire world. It has an unbelievable amount of resources, estimated $24 trillion of minerals in the eastern highlands in the ground. It has 200 million acres of arable land, and it has the second largest river system on Earth that could power the entire continent of Africa if it was harnessed properly. So, and the problem with this country is it's one of the poorest in Africa. It's the most mineral rich, but it's the poorest. So we have this conundrum: how do we do conservation in this kind of country? Because the resources draw the wrong kind of people if they're not properly developed. It is the most biodiverse country in all of Africa. It has over 1,000 bird species, 400 mammal species, 900 species of butterflies. It is really the biodiverse hotbed of all of Africa. This is the rainforest from the air. This is 68% of Africa's rainforest, and 13% of the world's biome of rainforest occur in this country. So it's found, and in these trees, there's 125 billion tons of carbon stored. It's an amazing resource for the whole planet. We wonder why should we worry about the Congo. This is a resource. I bet you everybody in this room takes a deep breath, you'll breathe in a molecule of oxygen from the Congo. Those trees produce a lot of oxygen for all of us to breathe. This is a closed canopy forest, meaning much not like the ground. So the Okapi lives here. It's the only forest ungulate to entirely depend on understory foliage for its diet. It just eats leaves. So the Okapi, I hope, if I'm blocking someone's view, please yell at me and move or something, okay? The Okapi has got tremendous sense of hearing. Look at those ears and smells. So it's one of the hardest animals to see in the wild because it is so in tune with its environment and can know when you're coming miles away. Okapi are very big, and you say, why is this animal so big? You know, the pygmies are small, we have small antelope, we have a lot of small animals in the Congo. The Okapi has to push its way through this very thick vegetation to eat over 70, 80 pounds of leaves a day. So it has to be able to go where it hasn't been before because the leaves are there. So it's very big and strong. Females are bigger. The females weigh between 600 and 800 pounds, and the males between around 500 to 650 pounds. So the males are smaller. The females have territories about 5 square kilometers, and the males about 12 square kilometers. This is what Okapi do. We just got this video of one of our camera traps. It's the first video of an Okapi feeding in the wild. This is what an Okapi does all day long. Just plucking leaves off of trees. And you see how thick that forest is there, and that's what to. So Okapi live in a Ituri forest, which has the highest density of leopards in Africa. And they've evolved alongside leopards, so their entire biology is based around avoiding leopard predation. Leopards can eat their young, so they have developed a system to avoid leopard predation in their young. The calves are born very small. They don't defecate for 60 days to avoid any scent. They get in a nest, and they lay in this nest for 2 to 3 months, only coming out to nurse and go back and lay down, not to bring any attention to itself. The mother will not go near the nest or near the baby when it's bedded down to bring any of her scent towards it. Okapi communicate with infrasound. So how does the mother get the baby? They talk on the sound below our hearing, like elephants and rhinos, and leopards can't hear it and humans can't hear it. This is an example. Can you turn this up, make sure they can hear it, please? It's an Okapi infrasound talking to each other. This is boosted by NASA labs to our hearing range where we could hear it. You wouldn't be able to hear this normally, you'd just be below it. So Okapi are talking. So the Okapi talks to males to females, mother to baby, baby to mother, and we don't even know they're talking. So it's a really amazing defense, and a leopard can't hear it either, so it doesn't know where the Okapi are. Okapi lived peacefully in the jungles of the Congo for 6 million years, only known to the Mbuti pygmies that live in the forest with them. No Western people knew this. When it was discovered in 1901, the first thing people did was collect them from museums. This is a museum in Paris. Here is an animal, last large mammal discovered in Africa. All the natural museums in the world went crazy. We got to have this animal in our collection. So many collections to the Congo at that time under Belgian control. And if you go to American Museum of Natural History in New York, the Field Museum in Chicago or London or LA, or you'll see an Okapi in exhibit there, and they all came from this forest there. The Belgians had a monopoly on Okapi. They were only found in the Belgian Congo. They set up this station in Epulu where we work today to bring Okapi to the Western world. The first Okapi came out in 1919, and that was all by boats, and most of the Okapi died because they're very sensitive parasites, and they'd be standing in the same cage or pen for 6 months at sea. It was not good. When they started flying them out in the late 40s, the animals did live, and the first baby was born in the Antwerp Zoo in 1957. The zoo population today are very important. Our ambassadors for everybody to make themselves aware of what Okapi look like and where they live. This is our station right here. This is where the Epulu River intersects the Trans-African Highway, which is a one-lane dirt road across Central Africa. And that's where our station is located. And we set up the Okapi Conservation Education Center under a contract. The government of Zaire at the time wanted to have, this is their national animal, be seen by their people. So we actually set up a facility to breed these animals in the Congo in 1987, and we built this facility for the people of the Congo could see their own. At that time, there was a lot of tourism in Zaire. We had an average of 400, 500 tourists a day coming through the Epulu station. It was really amazing. All the governors, generals, politicians came to see the Okapi, so it was a great opportunity to talk about biodiversity conservation. Say, why is the Okapi so important? The Okapi is the national animal protected since 1933. It's the symbol of the Institute in Congo for the Conservation of Nature of all their animals and all their national parks. It is really a very important animal to the people of Congo. The rest of the world really didn't know much about it, but the people of Congo. If you go there, you have Okapi water. Radio Okapi is the largest radio network. The Belgians, the Zaire, and the Congolese all have their banknotes. And if you go, and they used to have, which they gladly stopped, Okapi cigarettes. They stopped selling them. They had Okapi construction. So every 2 or 3 year old in the Congo, you can ask them what Okapi is, and they'll tell you. They know what it is. So this is the animal we promote to protect the biodiversity of this huge, diverse rainforest, because the people respect it, they like it. It's non-threatening, doesn't hurt anybody, it's gentle, it's quiet, so there's no reason why they shouldn't like an Okapi. And plus, they're beautiful. So we started our project in '87, working with other partners, World Wildlife Fund, Conservation International. We helped create the Okapi Wildlife Reserve. When I took on this project, one of the reasons I did was no protected area for this animal. There was no protected area in all of Africa to protect this most beautiful and most important animal to the people of the Congo. It's their most important animal. So the Okapi Wildlife Reserve is 14,000 square kilometers, about 1.5 times the Yellowstone National Park. All rainforest, and here you can see the road that goes through. This is the NH4, it's called. It's the national road that goes up, and this hits at the Kisangani, and you have to get on a boat to go to Kinshasa on the coast. That's the only way to get from one side of the country to the other, unless you fly. So this is a wildlife reserve. It was created and became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996, but also in 1997 was declared a World Heritage Site in danger because that's when war broke out. This is not only a place for Okapi, it's for the Mbuti pygmy people. This is a cultural reserve as well as a biological reserve. Okapi and Mbutis need the exact same thing, a thriving, intact, vibrant forest to survive. So when you protect the forest for Okapi, you protect the forest for the Mbuti pygmies. This area has the largest population of chimpanzees, forest elephants, and Okapi in all of the country. It also has huge population of forest buffalo, different duikers, birds, just a phenomenal place. It also has the 17 species of primate, the most of any place in Africa. This is a endangered red colobus monkey. So it's a great place to see primates. The trees are full of every different species you can imagine, just beautiful primates. This is the Mbuti pygmy who have lived in this forest for 40,000 years. They've lived in here, this forest. These are net hunters. They take the nets and they stretch them between trees, and the women, children, and dogs drive the game towards the net. Usually just small antelope, very small animals. Okapi can go through the net. Buffalo, big animals can go right through the nets. The small animals, the men will be on the other side with their spears and kill the animal. The minute they catch one, they stop. That's all they need. They don't overexploit, so they live in balance with the forest. These are nomadic hunter-gatherers. They move their camps in the forest. They make their huts out of leaves, and they move around till they want, for some reason, if the game is scarce or they're looking for honey in a honey tree, they move on. This protecting the Okapi Wildlife Reserve, we also allow them to live their own life. Here's this, the men are 4 foot 8 inches tall, the women about 4 feet 3 inches tall. These are the smallest people on earth. The Mbuti pygmies are the smallest people that live on this planet, and they're exactly adapted like the Okapi for their forest. When I go with them into the forest, I'm ducking and pushing vines and trying to go someplace, and they're just going right on the game trail. They go on the trails the animals make. They're the same size as the animals. They just zoom through the forest, and they just laugh at me and point at my big feet and say how clumsy I am. So this is a traditional lifestyle. You don't see this much anymore, but for special ceremonies, they get dressed up in their traditional leaves and the bark, the cloth they make out of the bark of trees. Necklace I have seeds from the rainforest trees. This is what they do, and they make their instruments out of turtle shells and things like this. They have little instruments. They make their drums. They have drums. They play a lot of music. They sing and dance. This DRC, as you know, is a conflict zone. In 1997, war broke out to overthrow Mobutu, was a dictator for about 35 years. And during that, in about 2003, the major conflict ended. 5 million people died. Millions of people were displaced. It was one of the greatest conflicts on the planet. But unfortunately, since 2003 on, we just have this minor, low-level, unpeaceful situation where little groups pop up every now and then with weapons and cause havoc in different communities, which makes it very dangerous and very difficult to develop the country, to have tourism, to do anything on a long, sustainable basis. We support the rangers of the reserve. These are the guys that go out and protect the habitat of Okapi, protect the resources from illegal exploitation. It's hard to get around the Okapi Wildlife Reserve. It's not easy. If you can get by the roads, then you got to get by a bridge. You just want to by a truck. So it's a very difficult place to transit. During the late 1990s, we built an airstrip at our station because the roads were just getting we were taking 6-7 days just to go about 400 kilometers. We were wasting so much time, so we built an airstrip with the help of the local people. The ranger support comes in really a number of ways, but one thing is communication. These guys are holding satellite phones to communicate anywhere in the forest, so we provide everybody with a satellite phone, and we pay all their salaries, all their health care, and all the supplies for all their patrols. They're on patrol and constantly in the reserve. The Thuraya phones give indication of where they've been, and this is very important for what's going on in the reserve and the rangers. And we have a performance system where for every day on patrol, for every snare, for every weapon, for every poacher, they get a bonus. So we have incentives to keep them out there, and these guys gladly do it. They're very brave, very dedicated, and we have no problem getting men to be on patrol. The money really helps feed their families and take care of their children. That's why we do it. In 2015, we added 50 new rangers. These are 4 women rangers, the first women rangers in the Congo. These women are tough, really tough. You don't want to mess with them. So, and they all still with us. We had 50 recruits, and 49 are still with us. One guy dropped out, so it was pretty amazing, and this like that. So it's really fun. This little bugger here is a lot of problems we have in the Okapi Wildlife Reserve. These little tusks. And the forest elephants is denser than regular ivory, and it's worth more. So even though they're tiny tusks, the poacher go out. If you have poachers, you have automatic weapons. So this is the danger of working there. These poachers are heavily armed with weapons, and because of the wars in Sudan and other CAR, other countries, a lot of weapons just flew into Congo. Okapi are rarely killed. They're incidental and snaring incidences. We've picked up 5 skins in the last 5 years, and we have a pretty good intelligence network. We're pretty sure that's all that were killed. There's thousands of Okapi. The use of the skin is mainly domestic. This is a drum from a church. A lot of church will have skin. In the previous history, the pygmy chiefs were the only one who could wear that skin for a belt. So the pygmies had the knowledge of Okapi and how to kill them, but that practice was stopped many, many years ago, so it doesn't happen anymore. But that was one reason that the Mbuti really, only when the chief needed a new belt. So one of the key situations we do is that when the guards are on patrol, they pick up the snares. We're fortunate that about 85% of our snares are still rope and twine, and about 15% are metal. So Okapi and big animals can break the twine ones, only going to wire one. But still, we pick up every snare and burn every snare. So this is a regular part of their job on patrol. Other problem we have is gold mining. Before the reserve was created, Mobutu was in charge of the country. He called this a mineral zone. only for his own use. People were excluded. So when we created the reserve, we didn't have many people there because Mobutu protected himself because there's gold in this ground. And he knew that, and so they was protected. So we have this problem now under all this adverse political situation and really a serious threat of loss of life for rangers. These gold mines popped up in the reserve. They're damaging to the environment, but the biggest damage is to the miners come, thousands of miners. They live here, they disturb the animals, and they hunt, and they live off bushmeat. And over the last 2 years, we removed 15,000 miners from reserve, saw a tremendous drop in bushmeat trade. So the bushmeat was just locally produced for to feed these miners. No miners, no food. The miners come from far and wide. They're not local people. They come from hundreds, 1,000 miles away like a gold rush to California. Everybody went to California. And once you kick them out, they can go back to where they come from. It's not like we're displacing anybody from the local area. The rangers, they do a lot of walking, 15,055 kilometers last year. Some of the results from that, so it's a lot of walking, working in the forest. I reported to you last time we had an attack in 2012. The station was destroyed by a group of Maimai rebels in retaliation for the ICCN closing down poaching and closing down mines. It was a retaliatory attack. I'm glad to say we rebuilt everything and more. I got to thank the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We have several grants from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that help us build the infrastructure, return our buildings, our tourist facilities. This guard post in January 2015 was burned and ruined, and we have built the whole thing back with solar power and fresh water for all the guards. It's important for the guards to have healthy surroundings for their families and children. Morale is very important. If their family's healthy, they can work harder. We cannot ever let our guard down. We had a recent attack in July at some gold mine we closed last March in Baipella. That's our base here in Epulu. Here's the mine here. And the rangers were stationed there to keep the mine closed, and some Dutch reporters, American journalists went in to do a story about the job the rangers were doing, and they were attacked, and 4 rangers were killed, and we're lucky that the reporters escaped. A woman hid in a gold mine hole for 20 hours before she was discovered, so it was really a dangerous situation. But the Army responded well, and we have good information on who they are, and the Army is still pursuing them, but this is a thing we have to worry about. Things like this just pop up because there's too many guns and too many people that want to exploit the resources. Another thing the rangers do is they help us with our camera trap program, which is a nice job for them. They love going on these patrols, the camera traps with us. This is Marcine, one of our women guards. She does all the GPS coordinates for the range. And these people really like going out on our camera trap patrols. So the first part of our program is protection of resources for Okapi can live and the pygmies can live. The second part is this is a reserve. It has 40 to 50,000 people living in and around it. If we don't work with the local communities, these are the stewards of this environment for years and generations to come. If we don't get to these people about sustainable living in a rainforest, we will have no home for Okapi. So we work continually with the communities, planting a tree, sustainability, and this is really, we have a great education team. The reserve is pretty unique in that we have agriculture zones in white, hunting zones for the Mbuti pygmies in this tan color, and this is a newly created last year, a central zone where all human activity is exploited. It's like a national park. People can transgress it, but they can't stay in or do anything there. But so you have communities living and working there, so that's really important. We work with them to keep their destruction out of the rainforest and their livelihoods inside the areas that they chose. The agricultural zones were created by the communities. They designed them. They're designed to last 40 years, and to this day, we've not had one community go outside of these zones since we started reserve. So really, they're working with them, they work with us, and it's really remarkable that the system is actually working. Getting around the reserve is tough, and so our educators cover hundreds of miles. They go around the reserve 4 or 5 times a year, meet with everybody, but they have to get around with motorcycles. One of our stakeholders are the Mbuti pygmies. We produce these posters of all the protected animals, and Jane Goodall Institute has done some researches and other institutions. One reason people kill animals, they don't know they're protected. Once they know they're protected, a lot of people stop killing those animals. There's lots of other animals that aren't protected they can hunt. So we go to the village, show them the animals that are all protected, and these are the ones they can't hunt, and that's a good education program. It really does work. We have 15 educators that go and talk to 37,000 school children every year about conservation, forest biodiversity, the effects of deforestation, climate change, a number of different issues. The government of DRC provides nothing for its people. Nothing for the schools, nothing for the health care, nothing for anything. They take care of themselves in Kinshasa. I'm glad, I think they do a good job at that. But these kids, school supplies is important. We have a football program, soccer, where every school we provide uniforms and balls. And this is really exciting because the kids all come together. The adults come to watch the kids play, and then you can talk to people about what issues you want to bring to their attention. I just haven't mentioned that we lost this year Marcel Enckoto. He was with us since 1989. He was our director of education. He was a wise, sage man. He was so respected by the communities. He created all our education programs, worked with all the people, and was really a great loss. I really treasured his advice and his humor. I always love his stories about asking why we do such crazy things in America. And it was really hard for me to explain why we really did things in America. He always challenged me every time I come with a new challenge. So, well, fortunately, we have 15 good educators, and we have assistant director of education who's been with us for a couple of years, training under Marcel. Hope to continue, but he definitely will be sorely missed because he was a good friend. If we talk about the agri-zone, every zone has got blue markers around it. It's very clear where they are, and this is what we try to do with the communities to keep these places, forest on one side, agriculture on the other. Agroforestry is a tool we use that makes the rainforest soils more fertile for 7 to 10 years instead of 1 to 2. They grow 25% more crop. We just plant these lucerne trees between the crops, which are nitrogen fixing, put nitrogen in the soil, fertilizer, and people can stay on this land for 7 or 8 years. Normally, 1 or 2 years cut more trees, 1 or 2 years cut more trees. So the greatest threat to Okapi is slash and burn agriculture. No trees, no Okapi. You know, all the things we can deal with, but slash and burn agriculture is the thing will destroy the forest and will never come back. So you can see the things here. We have 4 tree nurseries, thanks to some WCN donors. We were able to put our 4th tree nursery in there. Our goal this year is to plant 70,000 trees. And these trees grow the trees for the agroforestry, they grow rainforest trees for reforestation. They also grow native fruit and nut trees for crop production for the farmers. And so we had last year 50,000. Our goal is 70,000 trees this year to plant, and the trees, they're all free to anybody that wants them. Come get them. We'll help you. The kids water them. A lot of the kids plant trees around their school to create shade. The school in Epulu was in a wide open place 20 years ago with kids all planting trees. Now it's covered with shade. They can play outside. It's beautiful. So it's about 10-degree difference between the sun and the shade in the forest. This is the issue we really have to address. This is a woman with 10 kids. And everybody's saying, why does she have 10 kids? Well, she has to get the water, get the firewood, grow the food, cook the food, clean the house. She can't do it by herself. She needs help. So they have a lot of kids. And kids die. Kids die of diseases all the time. So the pressure on the woman is tremendous. So if we can improve her life and her kids live longer and she has some money to pay for health care and school, she'll have less kids. We've seen this. Kenya's shown this they will have less kids. They have the kids now because they can't survive without them. So we have women's groups we created that do sewing. They do other projects here. And this is to empower the women around the reserve. And once women have money, the first thing they do is they pay for the health care and the school fees for the kids. If the kids are in school, they're not mining. If the kids are in school, they're not poaching. If the kids are healthy, they only need 5 kids, not 10, to get the work done. So this is a long-term solution to this problem. The women are happy. They work every Tuesday and Saturday, 8 hours. They get there, they sew, they knit. They have a great time. They sing, they laugh. They just love this time together. It's just phenomenal for them. And then they have community gardens where they grow food together. They grow this food together, which gives them more power. And this is peanuts. They grow a cash crop. They can sell this in the market for cash. It's something they don't eat. They don't eat the peanuts. They sell them in the market. Healthcare is the #1 concern of anybody in the reserve. Healthcare. There's 20 rural health clinics. We supply supplies to those clinics. In 2016, we did a survey of a number of villages of just the women. And it came out unanimously the #1 concern they specifically had was access to clean drinking water. About 95% of the human diseases can be avoided if you have clean drinking water. These water sources, 2 things you can see. The water is trickling out, so the women get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They sit there, and it takes them 5 or 6 hours to take the turn to get water. So they spend 5 or 6 hours waiting for water. The water's filthy. The kids get in it. They get sick. So we got this program. We did 8 this year, 4 next year. We go in. We have great masons. We do casting. You see the water flowing out here now. The women go there in a couple hours, 20, 30 women, girls. Girls and women are the only ones get the water. They got to carry all the water back. And it's clean all around it. This is really safe, and they are really happy. I mean, we just had it in our newsletter, read some of the response from the women, just phenomenal. This is Okapi habitat. This is what it looks like. Great, 5 minutes. So how you say, how do I find Okapi? How do I tell where the Okapi is? How am I sure there's even an Okapi in this forest? Well, if you look at it, they're very difficult to see. A ranger walks an average of 500 kilometers per Okapi sighting, like this. 500 kilometers they walk to see an Okapi. So you have a lot of time, a lot of walking to see your Okapi, and you may have to take 1,000 kilometers on your shot, so. They do defecate, very unique fecal pellets. They do browse uniquely at their height. There's nothing else eating the food at their height. And also they leave tracks. So we have researchers that you can go in, and Lukas Mears, my assistant, was with me. You walk in the forest, and you can tell right away, there's a Okapi living here. There's a track, there's a fecal pile, there's bushes like that. So we can tell that. But we've been, since July last year, camera trapping. This is part of our camera trapping team. You get a kick out of this. Is our Mbuti guide, Michael Jackson. So, so we got last year some of the first pictures, the first pictures from the Okapi Wild Reserve Okapi. This is a male and female together. This is pretty rare because a male and female only be together probably for 1 day every 2 years. She's in estrus for about 12 hours. They mate. She raises 14-month gestation, comes in estrus again. So to have a male and female together is pretty unusual sight. This is an Okapi with leopard scars. So a leopard will jump on the Okapi, adult. The Okapi's defense is put his head down and run through the underbrush as fast as it can and let the vines and thorns scrape the Okapi off its back. I mean, the leopard off its back. So you see, these are fresh scars on this Okapi. This is an Okapi just walking. This is how you can see that it's going downhill. This is not flat country. It's rolling sand hills. Okapi are very strong to go up and down hills. This is at nighttime. They're usually active during the day, but this is 8 o'clock at night, which is not too late. But normally they're in beds. When the Okapis are active, they're sleeping. I mean, the leopards are active. The Okapis are sleeping because they don't want to overlap. So we see lots of primates. These are all tree dwelling, but they're on the ground a lot. I think they're knocking the fruit down and then going down to the forest floor to pick up the fruit they knock down. We have 17 species. These are one of the dikers. There's 7 species of dikers, small antelope in the forest. This is the type of food the Mbuti pygmy would be hunting. Our pineapples were getting missing from our garden. We wonder who was doing it. So we said, he's okay, he can have all he wants. But he did leave the eggplants. See all the eggplants he left? He's the only thing clean. So as Julian said, we have 30 years. We've been celebrating, and this has been a phenomenal. We've been on the ground every day for 30 years, protecting Okapi and working with the people. In that time, we've seen the Okapi population cut in half. The strongest population is still in the Okapi Wildlife Reserve. We figure 3,500 Okapi live in the reserve and outside of it. So they were classified as endangered in 2013, and we've worked with the government of DR Congo to make sure they can at least put more protection into the Okapi sites within the range. So protecting Okapi has several benefits. Okapi need habitat, but allows the Mbuti culture to stay the way it has been for 40,000 years. Here's a grandmother teaching girls how to dance. And this is what they want to be able to do. They need to have healthy. There's so much wildlife that gets supported by the protection of Okapi. Pangolins, chimpanzees, elephants, so many other insects that get protected. So next Wednesday is World Okapi Day, our second thing. We celebrate this in the United States, Japan, United States, and Africa. We had a lot of people here. So I get Lukas Mears, our program assistant, developed this whole day on his own, did all the work. And this year, we've already got everybody, we have all our educators. We're having bicycle races in the Congo, World Okapi Day, boys versus girls, over a dirt ride, and cash prizes. So we have zoos that have supported this in the Congo. We're having this, so it's a great day. So this is the future of Okapi conservation. Trees are number one. This is the real future, because if they can respect nature, respect the environment, we will have Okapi. But they have to learn this is important. It's part of their heritage. And this is our goal with our education. These kids really love Okapi. They really care. And if you can give them some fun, some good times in their life, they'll really be on your side. So with that, I want to thank you for listening.